Beijing's Great Hall of the People is so vast that the welcome parade laid on for Sir Keir Starmer was easily accommodated inside. The Prime Minister had to tread a delicate line on this visit, knowing that every step would be carefully watched. But it was the Chinese President Xi Jinping who first acknowledged that relations between Britain and China have not been straightforward.
In previous years, China-UK relations went through some twists and turns. It did not serve the interests of our two countries. As long as we take a broad perspective, rise above differences and respect each other, then we will prove ourselves able to stand the test of history.
But after the cameras left, the meeting did go on longer than expected, and by the time the Prime Minister reached the Forbidden City just across Tiananmen Square, he was able to announce visa-free travel for Brits visiting China, lower tariffs on whisky, a possible deal on services, and action to stop people smugglers buying Chinese boat parts. But how forcefully had he raised the really tricky questions on human rights?
Well, we raised those issues as you would expect. Part of the rationale for engagement is to make sure that we can both seize the opportunities that are available, which is what we've done, but also have a mature discussion about issues that we disagree on.
Were they listening on that, you think?
Yes, we did have a respectful discussion about that.
Enough to keep talks about other issues on track. There seems to have been a warm conversation about the possibility of MPs and other parliamentarians from both sides travelling to one another's countries. That is significant because a number of British MPs are currently sanctioned by China. Not that sanctioned MPs are impressed.
I don't have any economic or personal interest in China, so it's not something that particularly bothers me. But the idea that the Chinese can't just simply lift these sanctions if they want to, I mean, they're entirely symbolic. It's a complete joke. Because the Chinese don't actually have a sanctions law. All this is symbolism by the Chinese state trying to look big and tough.
Keir Starmer has criticised Conservative China policy for veering from the golden age to the ice age. Whichever age he is ushering in, it's certainly a lot less chilly.
And we can speak to Carl, who is still in Beijing for us this evening. Carl, the Prime Minister spoke about there being real outcomes from his meeting with President Xi. But do you think he got what he wanted from it?
Well, let's look at some of those outcomes, Gamal. I mean, certainly reduction in whisky tariffs, that's a clear win. The visas deal, that's another clear win, albeit one that brings us, as you've said, into line with a lot of other countries. There's a crackdown on small boats parts. That's a win if it works. So a little bit TBC. And as for some of the other stuff, well, the services deal, the putative services deal would be a really big prize if it happens. But at this stage, all they've announced is a feasibility study to see if it's worth entering into negotiation. So that is definitely one for the future. On the human rights stuff, that is a bit harder to judge. A group of MPs have just released a letter saying that Keir Starmer should have come here unless he was bringing the pro-democracy activist and British citizen Jimmy Lai home on the plane with him. Well, there's no sign that that's going to happen. Certainly the Chinese don't seem to have been put out by any of the things that Keir Starmer says that he raised in that area. But by the same token, neither does their policy seem to have been moved in any way.